Alright, in this video I'm going to show you guys how to use the tool palettes to manage your blocks. Now I have pulled up here just the duplex drawing that you guys have seen before, and I'm going to just show you different ways that you can insert blocks, how you manage tool palettes, how you create tool palettes, exporting and importing tool palettes as well. I'm going to go to a blank drawing and I want to show you. So we're going to insert a block. And notice whenever you go to a blank drawing, you can't insert a block because blocks are created within that drawing. So I have no blocks created in this drawing. This is my block library. Block libraries are specific to each individual drawing. If I were to say browse, and let's say I wanted to get a ceiling fan from that duplex drawing. So I browse, I'm going to go to Shared, Ashley Fuller, Duplex, and say OK. It seems like that works. I can browse and go to another drawing, but here's what happens. I bring that entire drawing in as a block. So when I come over here to annotate, I get all the different textiles that came with it. I get all of the different dimension styles that came with it. I get all of the, let's see, layers that came with it. And I get all of the blocks that came with it. So when I go to insert a block now, look at all those blocks that came in when I really just needed a ceiling fan. That's all I needed. So that insert a block command is good, but it's really only good for inserting a block that exists in your current block library, which means you have that block created in this particular drawing. So I'm going to undo all the way back before I have any blocks. Let's go to insert and just make sure this is blank. So I undid back to a completely blank drawing. What I can do now is well, years ago, before we had tool palettes, our other option to insert a block was to use the Design Center. And if you go to the Insert tab, pulls up the Insert ribbon, way off at the very end is the Design Center. And so with the Design Center, it's taking a little while, sorry. With the Design Center, you can actually navigate straight into a drawing. Let's go into this blank drawing here. So I'm going to navigate. There's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can either go find the folder where that drawing exists, or since I have Duplex open, I can click on Open Drawings. I can go to Duplex, double click on Blocks, and there is the ceiling fan. So I can drag and drop just the ceiling fan in, not that whole entire drawing. When I come over here and look at the blocks that I can insert, I only have one block. I've only got the ceiling fan. So the Design Center was designed as a quick and easy way to go grab blocks from another drawing and bring it into your current drawing. So I'm going to delete that. Actually, let me undo until I don't have a block in there. And just make sure I don't have any blocks. Alright, so what we're going to do now though is we're going to talk about tool palettes. So with the Design Center, every time you get ready to insert a block, you have to know which drawing you want to go into. You have to click into that drawing. You have to sort through that drawing's blocks to go find that ceiling fan or that sink or that refrigerator or whatever block it was that you're trying to bring in. But with tool palettes, it's a quick and easy way to be able to organize your blocks and always have access to them. You don't have to remember which drawing they came from. It's a quick and easy way just to have them there in a palette off to the side. So to pull up your tool palettes, you're going to go to View, and then this guy right here, Tool Palettes. It's on the Palettes panel, and it's called Tool Palettes. We're going to open it up, and AutoCAD came with a bunch of tool palettes with it. We're going to talk about this one later. But it came with a bunch of different tool palettes. But what you can do, I'm going to create my own tool palette. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to right-click in this gray area and say New Palette, and let's call this Doors. What's cool is you can have a drawing open, and you can grab a door out of that drawing, drag and drop it right into here. So there's my door. Got another door here. I'm going to drag and drop it over. That's a 2868. Let's see what this door is. There we go. Let's see, I've even got, well, for some reason these are all exploded, but we've got a couple of doors that we've got put in here. So what's nice is now I can come in here with these doors and go into any drawing And I have that same palette pulled up, so it's a great way to just put all your blocks, organize them the way that you need to, and then put them off to the side in that tool palette. Another thing that you can do is kind of using that design center along with the tool palette is I can come into this design center and let's select the windows. So here's 3 windows that have been selected. I'm going to highlight them, right click, and say create a tool palette. So you can create a tool palette straight out of the design center. So I highlighted them, create a tool palette, it comes over here, and I can call this tool palette windows. So here's all my windows, here's all my doors, and it's a quick and easy way to be able to bring those blocks straight in. So I can bring a window now, just drag and drop it straight into this drawing, and it comes in on the layer that it was created on, which is layer 0. But check this out. I'm going to go back to my duplex drawing where I have some layers set current. I'm going to right click on that window. I'm going to go to Properties, and under Layer, I'm going to set my layer to be the Windows layer. I'm going to go back to this drawing, undo, and I'm going to drag this window in, and look what happens. It didn't come out on layer 0, it came in on the Windows layer. It knew it was supposed to be on the Windows layer because I told it that in the properties. And now, look, I've got Windows right here. So it actually came in, it brought the block, it also brought the layer that it knew it was supposed to be on. So this is a great way to kind of get out of using layers. If you, not get out of using layers, but get out of creating layers, you could just have them embedded in the blocks that you need. So that's one option there, is to just go in. It takes a little while to set them up individually, go into each block and, click on it, right click and go to Properties, and then come down here and tell it what layer it's supposed to be on. It takes a little while to set it up, but it's totally worth it if you're going to use these tool palettes over and over again. Another option that you can do, let's create a new tool palette. So I'll just call this one Lines. What's great about this is I can come in here and grab a line. So this is on the rod layer and it's dashed. I'm going to grab it, drag that line into my tool palette. I'm going to rename this Rod. I'm going to grab this dimension, drag it over here, rename it Dimension because it's on the dimension layer. This one's the Shelves layer. I'll grab it, drag it in, rename, call it Shelves. Let's grab a wall. And one more just for the fun of it. We'll grab the wiring. So I've grabbed the actual drawing objects, pulled them into my tool palette, and I'm going to come back over here. Now remember, I've only got layer 0 and now layer Windows that came in with my window. But check this out. I can draw, if I click on that arrow, here's a lot of the draw commands. So I can draw a circle with the rod layer. It's dashed. My LT scale isn't adjusted, but you can see that it's a dashed layer. Or we can make this smaller so I can zoom in more. There we go. So I've got the rod, I've got dimensions. So I can click right here, and it's giving me the radius of this thing, and the radius came in on the dimension layer. I've got shelves. I'll just do a bunch of circles. I've got walls. And I've got wiring. All right, so I've been able to draw using basically just embedded draw commands that have the layers built into them. And now when I look at the layers in this drawing, I've got rod, shelves, windows, walls, and wiring and dimensioning. So it's a great way to just have your layers set up over here and just use them as needed. So when I need to draw a wall, I can just come over here with the wall command and start drawing a polyline. And I've got walls on the polyline, or a polyline already on the walls layer. Another thing that you can do here is a hatch. So let's go ahead and let me freeze this guy. So do I have a hatch layer? No, let's create a hatch layer. Make the hatch layer purple because I like the color purple. Set that current. We're going to go ahead and put in a hatch. May as well make it stars. Stay true to myself here. Put in that hatch. Maybe scale it up 15, or let's see, scale it up 20 times. That looks good. So close the hatch. But check this out. Now I can grab this hatch, slide it over here, and I've got a hatch called stars. Now when I come over here, all I have to do is grab that, click inside, and now I've got a star hatch inside of here. When I click on it, it was automatically coming in at a scale of 20. That's what I had it set to. It's on the stars pattern, and it knew it was supposed to be on the hatch layer. So it created a hatch layer. This is really especially great if you're creating your own custom hatch patterns. This is a nice way to be able to do that. Create your own custom hatch pattern and then just make a palette with it. So once you've got all your palettes set up the way that you need them, and they take a little while to set up, but it's totally worth it if you're going to be using these palettes. Once you've got it set up the way you need it, you're going to right click anywhere in this gray area. You're going to go down to Customize Palettes. You're going to find the one that you wanted to export. We're going to highlight it in the list, then right click again, and we're going to say Export. I would recommend creating a folder called Tool Palettes. Within the tool palettes, you can see all the tool palettes I've made over the years. But within the tool palettes folder, then you can export all of your tool palettes in there. That way you know where you can find them all. So this one was called Lines. And what it does is it exports it as a .xtp. So X for exported, TP tool palette. So .xtp is an exported tool palette. And just say save. And what's nice about this is if you ever delete and it's not there, or let's say you got a job and you're doing some custom work and you have your own tool palettes, you go into work and you want to bring your tool palettes with you, all you have to do is, and you don't have it here automatically, so if you lose it for some reason or you go in for some reason and new job or whatever, and you don't see your tool palette, all you have to do is just right click in this gray area, go to Customize Palettes, right click on any one of these and say Import, and go find it on your flash drive or wherever it is that you've got it saved. So here's Lines, and now it's in this palette. Each one of these is called its own tool palette. Each one of these tabs is a palette. So that's it. That's tool palettes. It's pretty cool and exciting, and if you can learn to use it, it's actually a really valuable tool. So it's definitely something that you would want to use, especially if you're doing a lot of contract work where you're working with companies and you want to use your own blocks. What's super cool is if you find a block that you like let's say this right here. Let's pretend this is the most amazing block you've ever seen in your life, and you've got somebody else's drawing open. You can just totally drag it right into your drawing, and now you own it. So it's a great way to kind of steal blocks from drawings that you think are pretty cool, or just keep all your blocks organized. Another thing that you can do is if you right click anywhere in that gray area, you can add a separator, and it's just a little separator bar, so you can just drag it and basically here's my dimensions, or I'm sorry, here's my layers and all those commands, a little separator bar, and here's hatch patterns. So you can always add a little separator bar in there. So I guess that's it. That is tool palettes.